The young Autobot Bumblebee, by Cybertronian standards, had experienced the horrors of war more than most of his fellow warriors. The loss of his voice was not just a physical injury, but the loss of a part of himself. The loss of comrades with whom he had went through thick and thin. And finally, the loss of Cybertron. Bumblebee became one of the first to find himself on a foreign planet, far from home. Here, on Earth, a new world awaited him, full of mysteries and dangers, where he had to learn to survive on his own. It was a long and painful solitude that lasted for decades. Hiding his true form from human eyes, he was forced to adapt to his new life. Earth was different from Cybertron, not only physically, but also in its dynamics. There was not as much war here, although local conflicts were far from absent. Everything happened locally, which meant that compared to the war he had known, life on Earth seemed almost peaceful. But despite the relative peace, Bumblebee couldn't shake the feeling of despair. He missed his friends, home, the purpose of life, which was tied to the fight for the future of Cybertron. He was alone, in complete isolation, and each day was filled with new doubts. What was happening on Cybertron? Were the Autobots winning, or were the Decepticons still in control? Was there any chance of reclaiming his home? These questions never left his mind. The challenge for Bumblebee was not only the physical isolation from his civilization, but also the emotional emptiness he felt, not knowing what was happening on his home planet. He had walked away from the war, but it wasn't willing to leave him behind. Every day, he fought with himself, with that dreadful state of uncertainty. And although he was still young, his heart was big and full of care. He couldn't help but worry about those he had left behind, tormented by the thought that they might have perished, and he would never be able to bring his friends back.